Good morning. Well, it's morning for me. I don't know what it is for you when you're watching this video, but it is 9 o'clock in the morning. I've just arrived down Brighton Marina, as you can probably see from the venue that I'm on. And I'm getting set up for the day. It's pretty overcast today. I'm hoping that might mean there's a sole about. Now, I fished down here last week and I didn't record that session. I had a camera fail, but I did catch a load of plaice, including a nice treble shot, which was lovely to see come in, on some beautiful fresh blacks that I picked up from Tony's tackle. That was last week. I've still got some of those blacks left. 7 wraps, in fact, I have with me. They're on their 5th day now. We'll take a look at those in a minute. But the plan is, on my Zenon C6LD, paired with my Pen Fathom 15, I'm going to be trying one rig for plaice that I've just put on here now. We'll take a look at that. And the other rig that I'm going to have ready for this rod is going to be my sole rig, because I'm hoping with these overcast conditions they are going to be about today. I did have one on a previous video, but it was just the one. Be nice to get some more. So the rig I've got for my plaice, this is a 3-hook clipped down loop rig. So start at the bottom, I've got a 6-ounce lead there with a splashdown and pretty little short snood. There we go. And that's a size 2 super match hook. And I've got my cascade swivel there and the little link clip to make it easier to unhook. Moving up to the middle of the rig, we've got the cascade swivel there on the rig body. And the same deal with the snood, little short snood and a size 2 hook with the little sequin bait stop. And the same for the top snood, except of course the top snood, we don't need a cascade swivel there, but we do have our SRT spring and the snood with the bait stop. I think those snoods are about 12-14 inches, so pretty short. Same as the rig I was using last week when I caught the plaice. So hopefully that'll work for the plaice. We'll take a look at my sole rig shortly. And I've still got my other rod to set up. But before I get that set up, I'm going to get this baited up, get it cast out, and then we'll take a look at the lug I've got with me today. So the lug I've got with me, it's all in my nice big bait packs. I've got a lot of bait with me today. Just open this up. I have in here my cool pack, and I've just wrapped that in paper to protect the worms a little. And these 7 wraps of lug. Like I say, they're 5 days old, but you can see they still look pretty good condition. Let's see if I give that a slap. Let's see if it comes back to life. Ooh, try again. There we go. So it's still toughening up. So these are going to be my bait for today. Hopefully, being a little bit old, that'll help with the plaice fishing. So I'll keep 6 wraps in here, all zipped up for the day. Only taking a wrap out when I need. So I've got my 1 wrap here ready to go. And that'll keep these in their best condition possible by keeping it zipped up. So let's get some bait on these hooks and get the rig whacked out. Right, so let's get these baits on. I haven't got my baiting needle to hand, so I'm just going to thread these up. So I'm going to get 3 worms out. Certainly going to be putting whole worms on these hooks on the plaice rig. So I've got, like I say, I've got plenty of bait with me today. So I've got 3 worms out. I'll just pop those back down on my box. It's a bit drier there. It has been raining overnight. And as always, I'm going to chop the 3 tails off. So that's the 3 tails. I'm going to keep those because I chuck them as a bit of ground bait down the V, the gap in the walls that you have down here. And then the other end, nip the heads off. Again, I'll keep all those. There we've got our 3 nice blacks. Pop my scissors down out the way. Give them a little slap. Yeah, they're still toughening up lovely. So I'm hoping I can get away without bait elastic. We shall see what happens on the first couple of casts. So I'll get this threaded on. Tail first. This is pretty much going to fill the bit of snood I've got between the cascade swivel and the clip and the hook point. So I might have to put slightly smaller bait on there next time, but that's just about on. And then we're going to do the same for the other hooks. Always making sure the bait stop is in the right place. Thread that up nice and neat. There we go. Move the bait stop down a touch. Oops. There we go. So that bait stop is now just above the worm, holding it nicely in position on the hook. Then we do the same for the top hook. Get my nicely toughened up lug, slide it on. I will find my bait needle a bit later, I think. I always seem to lose them. I don't know about you. I seem to only have one with me now. I used to carry a few, so I've always got spares. Right, so that's all baited on. Move that bait stop a little bit more. There we go. Next thing is to clip it up. So I've got the splashdown at the bottom. I'm finding the splashdowns are working really well on my loop rigs. I used to use imps, but partly being a off the ground caster, at least with the splashdowns, my hook's nicely held in place. Oops, if I can see what I'm doing. There we go, so that's on there. And then we're going to get our middle hook, stick that on the cascade swivel, check the tension there. So that's a little bit, oh no, that's actually perfect. The tension's good on that. And then we get the top hook on the cascade swivel for the middle snood. And there we go. That is all clipped up and ready to go. So I'm going to get that whacked out and see if we can pick up a plaice. So let's get these juicy baits whacked out. I just have a slightly shorter drop length when I'm casting down here because it's limited space. There we go, check it's not twisted around the top eye. Lead on the deck. It's a bit slippy today, so I'm having to watch my footing. There we go. That's out maybe 60 yards, 70 yards, something like that. And now that is out, I can sort out my second rod. I've got high hopes for today. The tides aren't brilliant, but I like this overcast weather. Loosen the drag, set the ratchet. There we go. The baits are out. We're in with a chance of catching the plaice, as Wayne would say. Anyway, let's get the second rod sorted out. Well, I've got the other rod set up. This is my 3-piece competition performance paired with my Shimano reel. That's loaded with 20-pound blaze line and it's got a Xenon tapered shock leader. The rig I've got on here is a 3-hook flapper. The snoods are about 10 inches. It's basically like my sole rig, but I'm using this going to be straight down the side, and I've got a plain 4-ounce hybrid lead on there. And the top hooks, I've each got half a lug on. These are little, I think they're size 6 hooks, they might be size 4s. And the bottom hook, I've just put a whole lug on there. Now, I've had a few times where I've been bitten off by congers straight down the side. I'm hoping that doesn't happen on this rig. The snoods are not fluorocarbon. These are, they feel like 28-pound blackout. I could check later if I do get bitten off. It might be written on the packet the rig come out of, but I'll see. I've also got a slightly different rig to try today down the side in relation to the getting bitten off by congers bit. I'm not a mad fan of catching congers, but you know, today I think I'm actually going to try and pick one up. Anyway, I'm going to chuck these baits out. They're only going to go about 10 yards and maybe even closer than that, 5 yards out from the wall, because that's where we pick up some interesting fish sometimes. Let's get them out there. Definitely time to get the baits in the water. Morning. Morning. That is slightly further than I wanted it, so I'm just going to stop line coming off the spool, pull it back, and now I'll let it drop down. And there we go. And as usual, I'm going to set my drag. There we have it. And we're fishing. Both the rods are out. So both the rods are out now, and we're going to keep an eye on these. But while they are sitting there waiting for the fish to come along and eat up those lovely lug, I'm going to get my drop net ready just in case we need it. So I'll just pick this up off the wall. You can keep an eye on my rods for me for a second. So this is just the Tronics Pro small drop net. They do make a larger one, but I find it a bit awkward to carry it such a long way when I'm walking down here. But anyway, I'll get this set up. I'm going to pop it in the next bay along. If people turn up later to fish here, I'll move it out their way, of course. So I'm just going to pop it on the ground, and if I slide, I've got a little loop that holds it all together. Slide that off, and then with this loop, we're just going to secure that on the pole, and then I'll walk the rope out so that if we do need it, there's not a tangle that's going to get in my way of getting that fish. Cool, it is tangled up today. Didn't do a very good job of tidying this up. There we go. So I'm just going to lay this out along the wall. Oh, I've got a knot there, sort that out. There we go, just a little loop. Not going to put it right against the wall because it's quite wet at the edge. I don't want the rope to get too soaking wet today. But there we go, that's all ready, should we need it. And if I do need a bigger drop net, well, part of me will be delighted and part of me will be sad that I didn't bring my bigger one along. But the bigger one is hopefully going to make its way over to Norway when I next go over there in a few weeks, because over there we're going to try and catch that halibut. Now, it's not going to fit a monster halibut in, but I want to catch one of maybe 20, 30 pound, and one that size hopefully would fit in that drop net. We shall see. I can't wait to get back over there. It's just 3 of us going fishing, and my wife's coming along as well, but I think she's more interested in seeing the northern lights than seeing the fish. So yeah, that's the plan coming up anyway. That's going to be, I'll say, a few weeks. It's still a little bit off, but I'm already prepping my rigs and getting ready for that, to make sure that when I'm over there I can maximise my fishing time and not sit there tying loads of rigs up. Anyway, back to today. We've got 2 rods out. The left hand rod is out after the plaice. The right hand rod is dropped down the side, scratching about, see what we can pick up. And I've got a couple more rigs to get ready, so I'm going to do that so that when I reel in, they're all baited up, ready to go, and we can take a look at them. And I've got a shout out to James. Bear with me a second. So, thank you for the mackerel. I was walking up the arm this morning, saw James, he'd caught a few mackerel, and I said how I hadn't brought any feathers with me and I could use one for bait, and he very kindly gave me this one. So we're going to make use of this, and we're going to use it down the side of the wall to see what it picks up. So there we go. Let us see how we get on with that one. Well, so what am I going to do with that mackerel? Well, I had with me a pulley rig with a size 3/0 short shank bait hook on it, and that's got a 40-pound snood, so it's a pretty strong snood, but I didn't want to use a pulley rig, and it's the only rig I've got with me with a big hook on. So what I've done is that swivel, which would normally have the snood on it for the pulley rig, I've actually snipped the snood off, and the pulley bead, where you'd normally be attaching that to the end of your leader, I've tied the snood on there, and I want to fish this down the bottom. So what I've got now is some lovely rig gum. So we're going to tie a stop knot onto the rig body, and that'll just hold that pulley bead down the bottom. So there we go, 4 turns of rig gum in the knot. Give that a pull. Don't need to worry about pulling it too tight, I just want to secure that pulley bead in place. Trim the ends. Just chuck that one in my box, I don't want to leave it on the line on the ground. And then I slide that stop knot down, and that has secured that pulley bead just above the clip at the bottom, and now I can fish that as one below the weight. There we go, with a bit of mackerel on the end. So let's get a bit of mackerel stuck on there, and I'm going to whip that on with some bait elastic, and we'll see how we get on. So I'll just pop my rig gum away and get baited up. Oh, I'm still recording. Well, I'll just carry on then. So, I've just trimmed a piece of that mackerel off using my scissors. I haven't got a knife with me. I don't need a knife these days because these scissors are fine. I'm just going to put this on the hook. So, quite a tough old skin. Either that or I've got a very blunt hook, which I doubt. think my hook is lovely and sharp. The skin on this mackerel is as tough as. So, there we go. Just going to wipe my hands. So we're going to get the bait elastic. This is Tronics Pro Baytech, the heavy one. I've just taken it out of the tube. And I'm not going to use much elastic to secure this on, just a little bit. It's only a little piece of mackerel. Get the line out of the way. Oops, nearly dropped the bait elastic. That is a beautiful, tough bit of flesh. Oops. Oops, dear, crikey, I can't see. I need varifocals when I'm fishing, I think, guys. Because I cannot see the bait elastic very well. Get that whipped on, rather cat-handedly, I must say. I'm sure I could do a better job than that. Anyway. A bit of elastic, hold that secure. On the hook. Twist that hook round a bit. That's better. Happier with that. And we'll see what we pick up. That sounds like something jumping out the water behind me. Anyway, let's crack on with the fishing. So these are the trimmings of the worms that I've got so far, plus the tail of the mackerel. And I'm just going to chuck these down this gap here, because a bit of extra scent in the water isn't going to do us any harm, is it? Let's see if that can attract that conger to come over. Or anything else, to be fair. So let's keep watching these rods and see how we get on. I'm just going to move you to a better position. Bear with me. Let's see if you can see the rods better there. Maybe about like that, shall we say. You're not level, so we'll level you up. There we go. Level you up? God, dear, I sound like I'm in politics. Anyway, we've got a mackerel bait ready to go on the rig I just showed you. The plaice rig is out, and this is my sole rig, which you've seen before in my other videos. A 3-hook flapper, about 8-inch snoods, size 6 saltwater super match hooks, half a worm on each hook. Now, if I was fishing this off the beach, I'd fish this as 3 above the lead. But because I'm here in the marina, my line's going to be going down at that angle, and I want at least one bait hard on the bottom. Oh, just got a bit tangled up there. The bottom snood is literally just above the weight there. So I'm going to set the grips, and that is all ready to go for when I reel in the plaice rig. Lay it on the top of the wall there, it's out my way. And yeah, we'll just see how we get on. No bites yet that I've seen, but I've been busy getting set up and sorting my rigs out. So we'll just have to see how it goes. It's now 9:38, so it's taken me a bit of faffing around to get all my stuff ready, get my spare rigs done, sort out the bait, do a bit of filming, you know how it is. But yeah, now we're in set for a good session hopefully today. But I shouldn't say that, should I? Put the kiss of death on it. But yeah, I got dropped off here this morning by my wife, who's taken the car over to have it serviced and MOT today. I'm kind of hoping it passes the MOT because I don't want to be stuck down the wall. Yeah, so she'll be picking me up later, but I've got a lot of bait to use, so hopefully she's going to be good with hanging out in Brighton if the car gets finished quite quickly, and then coming to get me later. Aren't I lucky, eh? Anyway, let's crack on with the fishing. Right, I just had the first bite of the day on the left-hand rod, the one with the plaice rig on. There it goes, look. Oh, I hope that's not a dreaded whiting. I hope that's not the dreaded whiting. I did see a local catch report at the weekend. They're here. That was someone fishing after dark though. But you know what it's like on this part of the coast. Once autumn sets in, they do come back. I tell you, when I was a kid, I used to love coming out catching whiting. It was great fun. But not so much these days. Of course, the ones I was catching over in Norway on my last trip, don't mind them, they were big ones. Oh, the bite's still there. Just probably the tiniest tap. You might not be able to see that. And we'll just let that develop for a bit. There it goes. I just checked the tide times. It's low tide at about 10:30, just after, something like that. So I reckon in about an hour and a half things might pick up. Oh, the fish isn't on there. We'll just wait a bit. See if I haven't scared it off. Or maybe I'll pop that back down. Loosen the drag back off. There we go. But we had a bite. First chuck. Can't complain at that. Especially this state of the tide. What is it now? It's 9:49. Those baits have been out there a really long time, haven't they? But you know, like I say, I've been getting ready, sorting things out. So I would say 9:49. So it's the low tide in about 40, 50 minutes, maybe an hour. And then I'm hoping about 40 minutes after low, the fishing might pick up a little bit. I'll just give this one another minute, then I'll reel it in. Because like I say, the baits have been out there a very long time. It's often the case on my first chuck when I'm out fishing, because I'm busy getting everything set up. And one of the first things I like to do is get some baits out in the water. So that means a lot of my other setting up jobs are done while the baits are out there. And they tend to have a nice long soak on that first chuck. When I get into more of a rhythm, I tend to stick to maybe 15, 20-minute casts, depending on how the fishing's going. Obviously, I'm getting stripped by crabs. It's got to be a bit more frequent than that. No taps on the other rod, the one that's down the side. It's just nodding a little bit in the swell there. Right, this one's coming in. Get these fresh baits out on the sole rig. It's going to go in closer than the plaice rig. I'm probably going to drop that 30 yards out. Oh, is that fish on here? I think that was just the grip lead dragging a little as I started moving it. Oh, my rubbish bag's about to blow away. I'm just going to go out of shot and stop my rubbish bag blowing away. There we go. Don't want to start littering the sea. And I need my rubbish bag. It's definitely not warm down here today. You can see I've put my salopettes on. The breeze is just a little bit chilly when you're sitting still. If there is a fish on here, it's certainly not a big one. Certainly not a treble shot plaice like I caught down here when I had a camera failure. No, we missed that fish. But there was something out there biting, so I'm taking that as a good sign. Looks like middle hook's certainly been attacked there. And that you can tell those baits have had a good long soak. They're looking a bit manky. So we get that one unclipped. Chuck it down out the way. On with the sole rig. And like I say, this one's going to go out about 30 yards. So I'm going to give that a very gentle flick. Not going to take my thumb off the spool. There we go. So I don't want to get a birdie. Then we do the same routine. Set the ratchet. Loosen the drag. There we go. And we're back in the water. So now I'm going to get those baits replaced so we're all ready to go when I reel in again. Well, we're going to check the baits on the one that's down the wall. And then I'm going to chuck that bit of mackerel out. Just to see what is going on down there. Well, my hooks have been stripped there. 2 bottom hooks. Well, not stripped, but certainly things have had a good go at that bait, but I didn't see any bites. It's probably those tiny little pout that live down there. Oops. Just whack my other rod, why don't I? So now we're going to send out this bit of mackerel that I showed you earlier. And that is just going to go down the wall, and I'm definitely going to make sure I set my drag well this time. Little underarm flick. That's just where I wanted it. drag set just right. Check the tension in the line, so I'm walking a bit carefully because it's quite slippy here. A little bit more tension. There we go. Perfect. So let's take a look at how these baits have been munched. Look at that. See, top hook, maybe something's had a go at that. Middle hook, definitely been munched. And the bottom one looks like something might have had a munch on that as well. So we get some fresh baits on here. I'm going to save these little bits. Like I say, I'm using them as just a bit of ground bait down the side. I don't think it hurts to... Oh, I've got a bit of tangling going on here. How on earth have I got a knot in my rig body? There we go. Sorted. So get these bits of scrappy bait off. Put them to one side, so I'm going to chuck them down the edge. That's those bits. And the top hook. So just keep those little bits. Let's get some other worms. I've finished my first wrapper lug, so I need to get another packet out. There we go, second wrap of the day. And I need my scissors. So I need 1.5 worms for this rig. Give them a slap. I've got to do this on the ground. There we go, that's got them toughened up. Quite nice sized worms these. So trim those 2 tails. Trim off the heads. Let as much scent out as possible. And then I'm going to cut these worms in half. There we go. And I'll pop that half back in the wrap. So I'm going to get this baited up and then it's all ready to go back out. Oh, I just done another bite on the left hand rod. This time it's got my sole rig on and it's about 30 yards out. Let's see if it comes back. Still a little bit off low water. You can tell the summer is on its way out. Looking at this wall, there's like loads of slippy weed growing along the edge there now. Obviously getting wet enough to sustain life at the edge. I'll be well happy if this is my sole. It was quite a vicious little bite, which sole give, but just the one. And then the one I caught down here a few weeks ago, it was a similar thing, vicious little bite, and then it just sat there munching on the bait. Hooked. There's no sign of life now. I'll just give this a little bit longer, reel it in, get fresh baits out, and then I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. I've only had 1 cup of tea so far today and no coffee. So I've definitely got low caffeine levels. I'm a bit of an addict, certainly to tea anyway. Right, no more sign of life. What I'll do is I'll make my cup of tea, get it all ready, and then I'll come back, reel this one in. Oh, I'd love it if it was my sole. That's what I really want today. Last week I had a load of plaice when my camera failed, but today I want that sole. So I've made my cup of tea, and that's going to sit here patiently, waiting for me to drink it after I've reeled in. Pop it down on my box, keep it out of the way. And now we see if anything happened with that bite, or if it just tasted my worms and swam off. No touches at all on that mackerel. There's no fish on here. That's a shame. But I always think getting bites is better than not. I'll get my leader nut in the right place. I always like to put it at the side of the spool so it doesn't catch my finger. Or my thumb rather. Look at that. Something has had a right go at those bottom hooks. Anyway, given that, I've got another sole rig baited up here. Actually, it was the one I was using scratching down the side that's got a plain lead on it. So I'm going to give that a go on this rod, because that bit of mackerel I've got out there is going to stay there for a while. Maybe a little bit of movement that might occur with the plain lead might just entice a little bit more of a vigorous bite. So let's get this one out. Like I say, about 30 yards, 40 yards. There we go. Fractionally further than the last one. There we are. Back in the water. Back fishing. So I've already got another rig baited up ready for the plaice. Given the mackerel's going to stay there, I'm going to drink my cup of tea before I sort that other rig out. But we're fishing and we've had 2 bites and 2 chucks on the left hand rod. What more could we ask for? A hookup maybe? Maybe that'll come later. Well guys, quite a bit of time has passed since I last shot a bit of footage. We've gone low tide now. It's a little bit chilly sitting there, but there's some nice dark clouds come over and I'm really hoping that encourages the sole to come on the feed today. But it's time to reel these baits in. I've actually got sole rigs out on both my rods at the moment. There's 0 tide run, which is never a good thing down here. But I'm hoping that's going to change maybe in the next half hour. But I'm going to take this sole rig off and clip on the plaice rig. But look, there's definitely little fish out there plucking at these baits. Look, there's the middle hook, and the bottom hook has been even more savage. Oh, sticking it in me. There we go. And not really any interest in the tops. That's been the same story pretty much when I've been pulling these baits in. But we're going to get the plaice rig back out now and see if we can pick something on that. But my priority today is definitely a sole. I do love catching sole. They give nice vicious bites. They fight well on the way in. You know you've got them on there. But it is what it is. We can only catch what is here. And I'm hoping what is here is a nice chunky sole. So let's get this out because it's my plaice rig. It's going to go a bit further. I didn't have any interest at all in that bit of mackerel that I put out. And there we are, baits are back out. So I've still got the sole rig out on the other one, but when that comes back in, I'm going to try a bit of mackerel. Can't get my words out. A bit of mackerel again. I've got a nice piece of mackerel there, loaded up onto that 3/0 hook, ready to go. And there we go. Plaice rig is out. Let's see what happens. I'm just baiting up my spare rig, and I noticed I've just had a little knock on that plaice rig that I just chucked out. Hasn't been out there very long. I'm still baiting up the rig I just reeled in, but that's now ready to go. I'll just give my hands a quick wipe. These lug being 5 days old are a little on the sticky side. Let's see if that bite comes back. Let's keep watching. It wasn't the biggest bite in the world, just a little tap. So the left hand rod with the plaice rig, that's my 3/0 hook clip down loop rig. There it goes. I'm going to be patient, give it time. Let's check my watch. There it is. I don't want to miss 3 bites on the trot. I've already missed the first 2. Was it 2 or was it 3? It might have been 3 bites I've had now. Either way, we need a hook up, don't we? We need the tide to start pulling a bit so they start biting a bit more vigorously. So even though my main target is that sole today, I'm certainly not putting all my eggs in one basket and keeping these mixed tactics going, which I do like doing when I'm out fishing. If I had maddies with me, I probably would be all out after that sole. That's certainly my favourite bait for them, but all I've got is lug plus that lovely mackerel. And sole, you certainly still catch sole on lug, but in my experience over the last few years, certainly maddies are the real killer bait. Trouble is you have to go and dig them. Come on fish, come back. Because I do like catching my plaice as well. Flatties are my favourite fish to come out and catch. But I'm still targeting that 50cm plaice that's eluded me. Oh, the bite's still there. I might have said this on another video, my best one's 48cm. And I really, really want to catch a 50. Come on, fish. There it goes. All right, let's lift into this. See if it's on there. Is it? Nope. They're just not taking it enough to get those hooks down. Pop that back down. I've tightened up my drag, but I'm standing right here next to the rod. Maybe I scared it off. Well, I've got my other sole rig baited up, ready to go. So it's now 4 minutes since I first noticed this bite. No evidence of it since I moved the lead. Oh, I've got to hook one at some point. Okay, let's get it reeled in, get fresh bait out, stick the sole rig out. See which hook it went for. When I've reeled in before, it's been the bottom hook or the one on the middle, not the top hook. That's been attracting the interest. So let's see which one this one's gone for. There we go, nearly in. Stripped clean, look at that. Absolutely stripped clean, that is. Okay, so even though I've got a plain lead on the rig I've got ready to go, and it's my sole rig, I'm actually going to try sticking this out a little bit further to see if we can pick something up on it. Maybe in another half an hour maybe in another half an hour or so, I'll try chucking it in close again. We'll see how the bites go on the way when we're further out. But hopefully in about the next half an hour, things should pick up. There we are. If there was a lot of people fishing down here, I wouldn't be casting a plain lead out that far. Because when the tide picks up, it really does rip through here. Which is why I bring 6-ounce grips with me. But I'm pretty much the only one, well, I'm not the only one in sight. I can see a couple of people fishing that way, but certainly nobody near me, not within a couple of 100 yards. So I'm good to use that plain lead. Anyway, I'm going to get that other rig rebaited because it's been stripped clean, ready to go back out in a second. I've got to pull down on the mackerel. That's the right hand rod here. That's gone well slack. Have I got it? Is it on it? Yeah, we got it. Oh, is it off? It's off. Oh, it's off. Well, the bit of mackerel looks all right, so that can go straight back down. That was definitely a conger. Oh, I was a bit too keen, wasn't I? Hopefully it's still swimming around down there. Damn. I was too quick to pick up into it. Let's see if he comes back. If he does, I'll turn the camera back on. Well guys, it's been a little while since I missed that conger, so I thought I'd bring you back, and we're just going to check the baits on the sole rig that I've got chucked about 40 yards out. It's very, very quiet down here in terms of people and the fish. So I've had those few bites I've missed and the odd stripped hook. Well, quite a few of my hooks have been not stripped. I keep saying stripped today, but certainly I've had things, little fish munch on them enough to disturb the baits and steal some of it. I did reel in just now and all my hooks were stripped. I think that's the only time that's happened, is that once I reeled in. But there's certainly not a lot of life out here today. So I'm going to chuck the plaice rig back out when I've reeled this in. It's all baited up there, ready to go. And we'll stick that one out a bit further. Look at that. Nothing's touched that one this time. I didn't see any bites, and there's no sign of life that anything's eaten that. So let's get the 3-hook rig clipped on here, 3-hook loop rig. There we go, look at that. Juicy baits, lovely lugworm. How can a fish refuse that, eh? Let's get them chucked out. So I'm going to whack these out. I get my drop length sorted. Little short drop lengths down there compared to on the beach, but maybe a foot shorter. And we are good to go. The baits are flying. There we have it. We're back out fishing. Well, it's time to check the plaice rig. It's been out a while and I haven't seen any sign of life. Other than some mackerel that were caught before I got here this morning, I haven't seen or heard of anything else coming out. Obviously I missed that conger. Time to drag up. And I've had some of my bait stolen, but it's been very quiet down here. I'd thought by now the fishing would have picked up. We're well past low tide. It's lunchtime. So I've been fishing quite a bit, quite a long time. And so far, I'm getting my checkbook and pen. Well, I was just recording me reeling in the plaice rig. The battery died, but we have nothing. The baits on this one haven't even been touched, so I think that means we're going downhill from earlier. So it's time to get the sole rig back out. Chucked about 40 yards, so I've just unclipped the plaice rig. I've got 2 sole rigs baited up. When I next pull the mackerel in, the sole rig's going to go out on the other one. And then what I might do is chop up a little bit of that mackerel I've still got and chuck it down as bait, ground bait. There we are. Ground bait down the V to try and attract some sort of conger back. I don't even like catching eels. What am I doing? I think I just got so sick of being bit off by them. But I thought I might as well try and catch one of the blighters. There we go, drag set. Let's loosen it up a little bit more. That's better. Anyway, the baits are back out, but at this point I'm not expecting much. It can only get better. Well, we're going to check this bit of mackerel. It's been out there probably an hour. I suspect it hasn't got a lot of juice left in it. Nope, it looks like something's had a bit of a munch on it. It's not in very good position on the hook. But we're going to switch back over to the sole rig for a bit before I stick out more mackerel on that. I think it's certainly fair to say, even though it was only one bite, that conger bite I had earlier was the most promising indication so far, because at least I could feel the fish on the end when I lifted into it, unlike the other little knocks I've had. So these are going out of my 4-ounce plain lead, and we're going to stick these about 40 yards. Just get these back out. Little gentle flick. Perfect. I'm going to get a bit more mackerel chopped up. Let's get it on the camera. Here's the mackerel. I don't have a knife with me. Just my lovely trusty scissors. And what I'm going to do, you can see I've already used the back of the mackerel there. I'm just going to get my scissors, cut along the edge of the belly, and then I can just cut along, lifting that flesh off the bones. You really don't need a knife when you're out fishing these days. Certainly not for fishing like this. It's getting a little bit dried out now, this mackerel. It's been here, sitting here for a good few hours. Certainly don't need this whole piece that I'm chopping off for my bait. There we go, move the rest out of the way. I'm just going to take a little chunk, going down there. There we go. Little piece of bait, quite chunky, but we are after a conger, not a bream. And I've got that lovely bit of belly flesh left for later on. I might try that on a smaller hook, piece of that, maybe after a garfish or a mackerel if it brightens up, but it's not supposed to. But I'm going to keep this just in case I want it later. And while I'm at it, I'm going to chop a few of these guts out. Chop the guts, because I'm going to chuck these guts in to get a bit of a scent trail going when I chuck that bit of mackerel down in a minute. So there we go. We'll get that on the hook. Where's my rig gone? Oh, I put it down on the ground here. So first thing to do is get this old piece that something's had a bit of a munch on. Probably a little pout or something pecking at that. Take that off. That can go with my bit of ground bait there in the guts. Pop the scissors down. So I'm going to get this lovely chunky bit of mackerel. I might need to trim that. Let's compare that. Yeah, I need to take a little sliver off that. This is off the fattest bit of the mackerel. So I'm just going to trim about 3 mils off the width. So now we've got a thinner piece there, better suited to the size of my hook. And starting at one end, just going to go in and out and then back in like that. So there we have a piece of mackerel bait. Let's get a bit closer to the camera. Perfectly suited to the size of the hook I'm using, and you can see there the hook's just sitting proud where I've trimmed it and made it a bit thinner. So maybe that conger will come back, maybe another one will come along a bit later. But yeah, it's certainly a very quiet day down the arm. Well, I've just had a bite on the left-hand rod. There it goes, look. Let's see if we got him. Oh, it feels like I've missed this one as well. This is going to be called something like the day of the missed bite on my video, I reckon. That was on the sole rig. I didn't look like a sole bite to me, but it could have been. Comments welcome. Any views on what that could have been? It looks like it's gone for the top hook. I'll just tidy that bait up. It's only been out in the water a few minutes. It looks salvageable. We get that chopped back out. I was just thinking it had been so long since I've had a bite. I was actually about to adopt a change of tactics, which I think I still will. I've got that lovely belly flesh of the mackerel there that we just saw, and I'm getting out a pop-up rig to see if I can pick up mackerel on the mackerel. Just sitting, chucking it out there, fishing it with pop-ups. Because the tactics I'm using really aren't working very well today. Right, that's back out. Let's see if there's anything about. Well guys, I just got that rig cast back out and finished baiting up my pop-up rig, which I was going to show you, and then the surface of the water's just erupted with a small shoal of mackerel. So I've actually cast my pop-up rig back out just in case there's still one here in front of me. Didn't get time to show it to you, but I've got little bits of mackerel on the 2 snoots I've got with pop-ups on, and I just stuck a lugworm on the bottom because I'd already done that before I saw these mackerel come through. So let's see if we can pick one up on the pop-up rig. I'll keep you alive for a minute, and if that rod tip chuck bends over, we'll know what it is. Almost certainly a mackerel. They were just moving along the wall. It was almost fortuitous in a way that I was already baiting up the pop-up rig with tiny little bits of mackerel on the top 2 hooks. But it looks like as soon as the mackerel appeared there, they've gone. So my guess is that bite I had was probably mackerel. It might have been mackerel hitting the line, making it look like something was having a go at the worm bait. But the sea certainly came alive for about 30 seconds. It's not exactly what you'd call a massive shoal of mackerel, but hey, it is what it is. That was a sign of life in the sea at any rate. So while that pop-up's just sitting there, those popped up little tiny slivers of mackerel, we'll reel this one in, check the baits, and I might chuck that mackerel chunk back down on this rod. Because there might be something around that's been chasing those mackerel. Alright, something's had a pull at those baits, but certainly no big fish. So we get this one unclipped. Getting my rigs out, a bit out of sync now. There we go. Clip that on, get that untwisted. So we already saw this bit of mackerel that I'm going to pop down. The bit I just baited up. This is just going to go out. That's about 25 yards out. And that's on the bottom. So I definitely need to set my drag on this. Get the ratchet on. There we are. That feels pretty good. There we have it. Good to go. So both rods out, mackerel baits on. Well, I was just baiting up and I looked up and saw I've got loads of slack line on the left hand rod. So we're going to reel down into this just to see if there's anything on there. Might just be slack line. No fish, that's for sure. Right, I'm going to pop that back down, leave it out there. Loosen the drag back off a bit. No sign of those mackerel that made that brief appearance. This is the slowest session I've had for a very long time. But we'll keep trying, we've still got ages left, still got plenty of bait. I've got slack line on this rod. It just pinged down, pulled up. I don't think there's a fish here. No, this was almost straight down the side of the wall. Somebody's had a go at the mackerel on the top. Just get that refreshed. I definitely think my best chance of catching something at the minute is using little bits of mackerel. So that's what we're doing. Just chuck another little bit to freshen that top hook up. Make sure that middle hook bait is presented as I like it. Well, that'll be all right for another chuck. Right, let's get this back down the wall. It's very hard casting so close in with a multiplier. I think I've lost my ability to hook bites. How can that happen? Well, I've just had another bite. Probably means I'm not going to hook it, doesn't it? Right hand rod this time, the one with the pop-ups on. Oh, that's gone well slack, look. Catch up with it. Whatever that was, it's moved the weight. Here, it's on it. Another mackerel. Let's hope he don't come off this time, mate. And there we go. At last. Popped up, bit of mackerel. Catches a mackerel. Let's take a look. It's not the biggest mackerel in the world, but it's a fish. I'll just spin the camera around a bit so I'm not too near the wall. There we go. Popped up mackerel. Catches a mackerel. We're beating a blank at last. At last. Thank you for that mackerel, James. It saved me. Well, while things have gone a bit quiet, I thought we could take a look at the pop-up rig. It's basically the same pop-up rig I've used before on some of my other videos. So I'll just get it off the wall. We've got 2-foot snoods, light fluorocarbon. And this is the top snood. You can see it's got a little white pop-up on there, a little hook and a tiny bit of mackerel. Now, if I'd actually set this rig up to be fishing this way with a little bit of mackerel, trying to catch mackerel or gars, I'd have used a thinner snood. I think this one's about, feels like 0.35. And I would have used a smaller, lighter hook with a finer wire, because we want that pop-up that I've got on there to actually lift the bait up and make it flutter around enticingly. Middle snood's the same deal, except this one I've got a red pop-up on there. So that's 2 up, and then just above the weight, you can see I've got the 3rd snood fixed there, fishing down, 1 below, and I put a slightly bigger bit of mackerel on that hook. So this is my approximation to the right tactics for fishing with pop-ups for mackerel and gars. Like I say, I hadn't planned on it. I just changed my tactics up today because my worm baits weren't bringing any luck. We're getting those finicky bites that weren't taking the hooks down. So I've mixed it up, tried to put some fish on the arm, and at least it's worked. I hooked 2 mackerel, managed to land one of them. And yeah, earlier on, what else happened really? We missed that conger, also on a bit of mackerel. I've got a bit of mackerel left here from the one I started earlier, and another chunk there. I'm chopping this up now and just chucking it down the in between the gap there where the V is in the wall, just to attract the fish over, try and get some more things on the ones I've got dropped down the side. But yeah, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to give it. Oh look, we've got a bite. Look at that. That wasn't a line bite, that was definite pull. That's probably been going away ages. I haven't been watching it, I've been chatting away to the camera. Yeah, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to give it. My wife's got to come and pick me up. She's either going to come for me packing up about 3:30 or about 5:30. She's going to let me know in a bit. So we've either got another hour and a half or another 3.5 hours to try and catch a little bit more. How's my other line looking? Pretty good. Look at that, bite's gone away again. I'm just going to tighten the line up on the other rod. It's gone a little bit slack. There we are. And whatever it was that gave me that bite seems to have disappeared. It's the story of the day really. They're not tiny tides, but they're certainly not massive tides today, sort of middling. So I would have expected more action than we've had, to be honest, especially with this cloudy day. I thought it was going to be quite good today. I had high hopes for those sole. Hasn't happened. But I've been saved by mackerel. Well, I've had a few more bites on this one. I've actually changed the rig over for the one that's popped up now. I've just heard there's been a nice bream caught further down the arm towards the shore, I suppose, towards the arm entrance. So these bites I'm getting now could be little bream. So I'm trying to get a bit of a scent trail going down there. So this chunk of mackerel that I'm not going to use as bait, I'm just chopping up little bits every so often and just chucking it down the side where I'm fishing. So this bit's going to go over. Anything to get a bit of a scent trail working to attract the fish here. If it is bream down there, then at the moment I've got the popped up rig out, which is the better one for it, for sure. Then this one, this is my sole rig, which really isn't designed for this kind of fishing. But you know, needs be, needs must. Improvisation, adapting. It's the way to try and put fish on the, I was going to say on the beach, but I'm not on the beach obviously. A way to put the fish on the arm. And I've got this lugworm, I'm going to try putting a bit of that at the bottom. Bream-like lug as well. So give that a go. Just a little half a piece because it's only a little hook. And those bits I just took off, that can all go down as a bit of ground bait. We'll keep trying. My little friend's back, picking up little bits of bait. There you go, likes the look of my mackerel and my lug. It's very tame, I'm only sitting about 3 feet away. But it doesn't have any qualms about coming up this close. There you go, it's having a little peck at my mackerel. Very cute, is all I can say. What can I say? It's been a very long time since I last recorded anything. It has gone completely dead down here. A guy just walked up the arm, started having a chat. He's been fishing quite a bit down that way. He told me someone's had a cod down here and he's seen one bream caught, but it's been really, really dead. Other than little tiny flurries of mackerel activity where there's tiny little shoals going along the wall that appear for about 30 seconds and then disappear again, there's been nothing doing today. I've still got time to fish, there's still time for it to change. Very occasionally I'm getting little tentative bites that don't come to anything, but it's hard. We're going to keep on fishing, we're going to keep on trying, and I've got, look at that, the best bit of the mackerel there to use, the belly flesh. Certainly on a pop-up rig, that's the bit you want. So if I've got the best bit of the mackerel, I've got the best chance. Well, I had another pull down, so I'm going to reel it in. I've left it for a few minutes. I've got another rig baited up and ready to go. Although with the fishing as it is, I'm not sure I need to be too worried about being quick. Well, whatever that was, it hasn't taken the bait as everything else has been today. Just a few little bites and nothing actually getting hooked. Well, whatever that was, that's bit off my bottom hook. So that suggests to me it's something with teeth. I've just had another bite on the left-hand rod. It's pulling, look, there we go. Hopefully you can see that. Not the biggest bite in the world like the others, but there's definitely something there. I've certainly been trying really hard today. I've used so many different rigs, tried different distances, there we go. But I'm just not hooking them. Still there. Hopefully that sun's not blinding you. Certainly in my eyes. It's only just come out. You're probably looking straight at it. You know what? I think I've actually hooked this one. We have a fish. Well, I'll say we have one. There's one on there at the moment. It's been a hard day. There we are. Not the biggest place in the world, but it's certainly extremely welcome. I feel like I've worked very, very hard for that tiny little place. Anyway, I'll get him unhooked and then we can take a better look at him. So there we go, 24 centimetres. It's a plump little thing, but definitely far too small to be taken home. So I'm going to get this guy chucked back. Come with me, we'll chuck him over the edge. Oops, lost you for a second there. Let's turn you around so you can see the fish go back. There we go, straight to the bottom, guys. There we go, 2 fish now. Not bad for about 6 or 7 hours fishing. I forget how long I've been here. Anyway, let's get some baits out, see if we can get another one. Well, what can I say? It has been a very slow session. 1 plaice, 1 mackerel, plus a drop mackerel coming up the side. A lot of bites that I just haven't been able to hook. These are my last casts. I'm starting to pack up. The car passed its MOT, so it's not all a bad day, is it? And it's had its service, so it's all good for another year. And yeah, I'm getting my lift home soon. I doubt I'm going to catch anything else because it's been that way all day. Anyway, thanks for watching this one, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers everybody, and thank you for watching.